The July 8th meeting of the Nixa City Council. Call the meeting to order.
Kelly Morris, Matt Ogden,
Here.
Sean Lucas,
Here.
Aaron Peterson,
Here.
Darlene Graham,
Here.
Zern Vest.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we have some visitors that already signed up for this evening. I'd like to thank you even before you get started. It's always a pleasure to meet some of the candidates before the election. So I believe first up tonight is Susan Harrelson, running for State Senate, seat District 29.
Good evening. Let me bring it down a little bit. Ozark has been my home for most of my life. Christian County has been my home for almost all my life. I love this place. I've had several opportunities to move, and anytime I would go and visit somewhere, there's no place like home. So, you know, the Senate has been redistricted, and they took away Stone and Taney County, and now we are part of Senate District number 29. So we didn't elect the current man that is representing us. Not his fault, nobody's fault. But what I would like to do is I would like to be the person that would represent the Senate district, simply because 48% of the voters are in Christian County. So we pretty much, have the majority of the vote for those people who are registered. I'm an Ozark High School graduate. I am a College of the Ozark graduate in mass media. I know how to talk to people. I've run a business, Premier Home Health Care, for the last 32 years. I've got 8 offices across the state of Missouri. And I've done a lot in Nixa and Ozark throughout the years with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Christian County 100 Club with Joe. There's several things that my church, I'm the stewardship committee, so they trust me with the money. I'm a very trustworthy person. I'm an honest person. I am not a person that wants to go to Washington. I am a person who wants to stay in Missouri. I think I have a lot more knowledge that would be better suited to stay here in our area. One of the things I want to work with is Show Me Christian County. They've done a lot of work with you guys. I am impressed. Ozark and Nixa and the whole county have really profited from what they're doing. I've met with Kirsten, I've met with those people. I actually did an interview on KSME radio this morning, they were asking us questions from all the candidates. And I love the fact that I would be able to go up to Jefferson City and work with other people in the Senate to be able to do something for Christian County. And economic development, I think, is something that sometimes we take for granted. And I don't want to do that anymore. I know that if the city of Nixa profits, if businesses profit, especially small business, I have a small business, if we all profit, we have better lives. Our school systems are great. Nixa is blessed to have one of the best school systems, in the state. Ozark is too. And what I want is the best school systems that these kids can possibly have. I want the best choice that they can have. I talked to the superintendents today from Ozark and got a lot of good ideas from Chris Bauman, who just retired, and from Lori on what Ozark needs. And what I would like to do is sit down with you guys, the city leaders, and find out what Nixa needs. What do you want? What do you want us to do in a Senate level representing Christian County? So that's my big thing. I want to find out what you guys need. And I've been in healthcare for 32 years. I know how to run a business. I know how to not spend money that we don't have, and I think we need that in Jefferson City. And I also am proud of the fact that I am from Christian County, and I want to make you guys proud. So I've never run for office before. I've been busy running my business, but I am getting to the point where I'm close to retirement, and I thought, okay, this may be the next step. And what I want to do is represent you all and represent you all well. So please vote August 6th, whether you vote for me or not. Please make your voice heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrelson. All right, and next up we have Michael White. He's candidate for the Western District Commissioner.
Good evening. Again, I'm Michael White. I'm running for Western District Commissioner. A little about my background. We moved my family here, or I moved my family here in '95 because we wanted a rural setting to grow our boys up in. They flourished in a county-like setting. We moved them from Springfield, better schools, less crime. That's why we chose Christian County. I also chose in 2002 to open up my business here in Christian County. I've been a licensed land surveyor since 1994. I'm very well versed in land use, land planning, infrastructure needs and improvements, and that's why I think I can bring to the county. I've always said that there's nothing wrong with our county government right now, but I think a fresh set of eyes is what county needs right now. This county really needs to flourish. Right now we're having some growth pains. I'm the chairman of planning and zoning for Christian County. I have been since 2017, and I'm seeing the influx of people to our area. And we've got to figure out, as a county, how do we manage that? We can't control the growth, but we can manage the growth. And that's where I think, again, my expertise, my abilities, my fresh set eyes will really help. I know that the county commissioners really don't work with the city of Nixa very much at all. I think Hosey Blue right now works with the school board, which is great. My main issue is the western part of the county needs somebody that lives in that area. I live between Billings and Clever, and let's face it, Billings, Clever, Highlandville, they're kind of forgotten in the county. So they need a voice that's going to pardon up to them and say, yes, we will listen. Yes, we will help. We will be visible. That's our main thing. I've talked to people who's lived in county all their lives. They've never met one of the county commissioners, ever. I think it's my job as county commissioner, and I've said this as I'm running to people, my job is to be there for you in whatever capacity I can be. Sometimes it's going to be a supportive role, sometimes it's going to be a leader role. But again, I think our commissioners need to be a part of that county and be active in that county. Again, it's an unusual position to be in. You know, the county commissioners really only manage three things: budgets, personnel, properties. So I've had people ask me, what about our southern border? You mean Stone and Christian County? No. And so it's really not a political position. It's mainly a maintenance and oversee position. So that's where I stand on that. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the invitation to be out here to come out and speak tonight. So I look forward to everybody getting out and voting for somebody, like Susan said. And I've partnered up with Susan on an event. She's a great woman. She's a great candidate. We're finding out a lot of voters aren't even registered, by the way. So encourage people to get out and vote, no matter how they vote, but have to say, this is our time and our voice. So again, thank you for the time. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. White. All right, up next is Johnny Williams, candidate for the Western District Commissioner.
Again, my name is Johnny Williams. I live here in Nixa. First off, I want to start out by telling everybody thank you for giving us the time to come and speak. I know you guys got busy agendas, but so I grew up here in Nixa. I've been a police officer for the Nixa Police Department for a little over 24 years. Through that time, I've been an instructor in a lot of different things. I've been blessed to get to meet a lot of you through some of those programs. Some of those programs that we had started back then with when we had our city court here was the Community Alternative Sentencing Court, where we worked with people from homelessness to drug addiction and different things. So I've been involved in the community for a really long time here. I went to Nixa schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. I have two older daughters that have went kindergarten through 12th grade and now are graduating college. And I have two children still in the Nixa schools. Absolutely love this community. I've been a part of it, like I said, my entire life. Really looking forward, through the growth and watching the growth through the city through my entire life of being a part of that. And in order to do that, you have to be involved and you have to attend events and you have to be at places like this speaking. I've already spent time speaking at the Nixa Senior Center and being at the chamber events and actually being present. And I think that's something that we've lacked in the past, is just not having community involvement with the commissioner's position. And I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that, that changes with that time. This position in the past has really came down to people using it as a retirement job. They get to that age and they're like, hey, this would be great to move into that. I'm 46 years old. I'm far from retirement age, so I'm actually really looking forward to an opportunity to make this a career and make it something that I can grow and stay in and help the community grow through that. And part of the meetings and different things that we've had, a lot of people are asking about the roads and different things, and some of the developments as Nixa, we've had a lot of talk about M-Highway growing and expanding, and I think, those things, as we get more subdivisions and more subdivisions, we have to be able to create the businesses to support the people here so that they're not leaving the county, they're not going to Springfield to spend their money, they're not going to Republic to spend their money, but they're actually spending it here in our county, and part of that is being involved in helping those growths and helping it as we move forward. As I said, being from Nixa for a long time doesn't mean that we don't care about the other cities and the things, because they haven't been represented very well out in Clever and Highlandville and Billings, and being able to join the chamber in Clever and getting out there and being heard is where we go right back to that involvement, being there, and as they've said, they haven't seen any presence, they haven't had that, but that's something I'm very passionate about, is being involved in the community. It's something I've done my entire life while living here. So I'm looking forward to an opportunity to continue to serve, the people of Western Christian County just at a different capacity. So I want to thank you guys for giving us the time to speak here again. And the deadline, we're voting on August 6th, but the deadline for unregistered voters is July 10th to vote in the primary. So anybody that hasn't registered, they just have a couple days to do so. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I do appreciate, again, you guys being here. One thing, I've been to Jeff City and to DC advocating for different parts of the city, and I can tell you that we definitely need stronger voices, both places. We definitely, a lot of things going on, and Christian County, with the growth that we have and continue to have, we definitely need more of people up there advocating for the people that are here, not the people that are in Jeff City or the people that are in DC. So thank you all very much. All right, anybody else?
Ron Sanders.
Good evening. My name is Ron Sanders. I live here in Nixa. Want to talk a little bit about bureaucracy, and want to start off with Chevron deference. The U.S. Supreme Court just struck down Chevron deference, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. Well, since the 1980s, Chevron deference meant that the bureaucracies, the government agencies, got to tell the judge what things meant. So it always benefited the government over the private citizens and the commercial establishments and everything, the businesses. For those who are not familiar with the Second Amendment and gun rights and everything, the ATF was able to write regulations ambiguously. Then when they were sued by people or organizations, they could say, oh no, this is what we mean. And when you go to the Supreme Court had to use the Chevron deference and say, oh, we have to listen to the bureaucracy. We have to listen to their interpretation. Well, that was just struck down. So that is going to give businesses and give the small guys and citizens the right to go to a judge and challenge them and say, well, this is what it says in the dictionary, and this is what the bureaucracy says. So I think we should follow the dictionary now. Now, why do I bring up bureaucracies? Because we have a lot of bureaucratic stuff going on in our governments, all the way up, from DC down through Jeff City, which somebody mentioned tonight, right down to our county. And I'm glad to say that we are minimizing the bureaucracy here in Nixa, but there are still bureaucratic machines going on across our county. Other cities are creating their bureaucratic machines with regulations and fees and everything else. And what they're doing is they're creating a machine to operate. So what we have are elected officials who come on the scene and they say, well, I can operate this machine better than the last guy. And since we're getting into campaign season, I want everybody to understand that there are several different types of politicians out there. There are what I would call citizen servants who undertake the positions, the elected positions, because they want to serve. They want to do what's right for the citizens. They want to look at everything and they want to evaluate things. And they listen to us when we come up here to the podium. And then there are others who want to operate the machine. And when they get on that machine, you always want bigger and better, right? When you got your first lawnmower, you were like, I need one just a little bit bigger and more powerful. When you got your first car, you were like, boy, wouldn't it be nice if I had just a little bit more power, right? Well, it's the same way whenever people get power as elected officials. They'll either respect the citizens or they'll try to operate the machine. And then they'll try to make the machine a little bit bigger because that bigger machine uses more resources. And when it uses more resources, they can offer more government money to the people that they're friends with that offer them, that provide those resources to run the machine. I don't know if I'm making any sense or not, but that's what a bureaucracy is. The bureaucracy is just a big machine that runs over the little guy, runs over John Q. Citizen whenever it comes to governments operating the way governments do in a lot of cases. Now, I just want to preface that because I see our city doing away with a lot of bureaucracy, making things a lot more simple. I know that our lawyer here and our city administrators and everything have worked very hard to get rid of a lot of the bureaucracy that sometimes gums up the works. And I appreciate all of you guys there. But we always have to watch out because there are always people who want to get in these positions of power and operate the machine, make the machine bigger, and run over the little guy. So just think about that whenever it comes time to vote, whenever it comes time to go to the polls, and when you're looking at all the politicians out there that are running for office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. All right. We don't have anybody else signed up, but if you would like to speak, you can come up, speak, fill out a visitor card. All right. If not, I will close the visitor section. All right. First up is first reading Council Bill 2024-20.
First reading Council Bill number 2024-20, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa amending Chapter 1, Section 1-9 of the Nixa City Code for the purpose of modifying the city's general penalty provisions. Presenting is City Attorney Nick Woodman.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm before you this evening to present on Council Bill 2024-20, which, as the title indicates, would, if approved, would amend Section 1-9 of the City Code. Section 1-9 is what is referred to as the city's general penalty clause or ordinance. In order for an ordinance to be effectively prosecuted or enforced, it is required that it have a penalty provision attached to it. And so typically cities will have a section in their code that is a general penalty provision that will apply to all code violations or ordinance prosecutions where there isn't a specific penalty provision provided in that code section. What we are asking council to consider tonight and at its second reading would be an amendment to remove a subparagraph from this section that incorporates by reference state law penalties for ordinance violations that also cover those state law penalties. The rationale behind this is it makes prosecution a little complicated because we can't rely on the provisions of Section 1-9. We have to instead go find if the ordinance violation is covered under a state statute and then utilize those penalty provisions. which is a little incongruous with how municipal prosecutions are thought about. Typically, if someone's being charged with an ordinance violation, it's not that serious of an offense. If it were a serious offense, they'd be charged under the statute and be subject to those statutory penalties, which in most cases are a lot more severe than what the city has the power to enforce or impose, if you will. So that's really the major substantive change with this council bill. There's also some language cleanup that we're attempting to accomplish with this by removing some duplicative sections and really clarifying what is meant in some of the clauses in the section. But the main thrust here is to remove that the state law incorporation. With that, staff recommends approval. I'm happy to answer any questions that the mayor or council may have on this item.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Woodman. All right. No other questions. I will open up the public hearing on Council Bill 2024-20. If you would like to speak on this, do so at this time. All right. If not, I will close the public hearing on Council Bill 2024-20. There are no other questions. And thank you for being available before the meeting, because I think a lot of people were wondering what that was. So, thank you. All right. Moving on to second reading, Council Bill 2024-18.
Second reading Council Bill number 2024-18, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa, amending the 2024 annual budget in the amount of $151,472 for the purpose of funding 2 additional positions within the police department. Presenting is Police Chief Joe Campbell.
Mayor, Council, as you know, back in April 23, the citizens of Nixa passed a 3/4 cent sales tax to help fund public safety. One of the goals of that sales tax initiative was to fund additional police officers. Now, during the 24 discussions that we had over budget, the police department was asked to assess the revenues that were coming in. But at the time, we weren't really seeing the revenues come in as they weren't fully implemented. And so the discussion turned toward looking at a second quarter review of those revenues in 24 to see if there was going to be money available and there would be funding to add potentially 2 or more officers for this year. So we did that. As of the second quarter, I believe we're at 1.3 million was the last number that we had from last month whenever we had the first reading. So we feel comfortable that the money is there, that the sales tax is generating the amount of money that we need to add additional officers. So we're requesting the addition of 2 police officers mid-year. And then an addition to that, we're going to have to do some promotions as well to realign some responsibilities within the organization, make sure that we have every level of supervision provided for. So there will be a series of promotions as well, and in addition to the addition of 2 officers. For this, we're looking at 6 months of salary for the 2 officers, and then the series of promotions would cost us, a certain amount of money that we've determined that would occur over the next 6 months. So between now and the end of the year, we'd get everybody promoted and hopefully get those 2 additional officers added to the staff. And again, that number that we're asking for the budgetary amendment is $151,472. And we feel comfortable, again, that the revenues generated from the sales tax would be more than sufficient to cover that, in addition to keeping pace with what we need to be doing with the other initiative that we were looking at solving with the sales tax, which is the new building. And so we feel comfortable that we're not going to be in a place where we're going to be out of line with what the revenues are coming in. And with that, the staff recommends approval of this budgetary amendment to add officers and do promotions. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I will add, just for the public, one thing that we have stayed on top of, and Chief and his staff has done a good job, is, the the promise that we made for this law enforcement tax and making sure that we are able to live up to the expectations that we set and what we were able to do. And so we do monitor the revenue that comes in for that additional law enforcement tax. And you can also monitor that as well on the website. That stuff is there all the time. And also the last council meeting of the month always has that attached to it. It has the sales tax revenue separated off by the law enforcement and everything else. So you guys are always able to look at that and see where we're at. So just for a little bit of info for you. All right, thank you. All right, we will open up the public hearing on Council Bill 2024-18. If you would like to speak to this, do so at this time. All right, fair enough. I will close the public hearing. Anything else from council? All right, I will accept the motion.
So made.
Second.
First by Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Peterson. Roll call, please.
Darlene Graham.
Yes.
Aaron Peterson.
Yes.
Matt Ogden.
Yes.
Zern Vest.
Yes.
Sean Lucas.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, next up, second reading, Council Bill 2024-19.
Second reading Council Bill number 2024-19, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa approving the preliminary plat of the subdivision known as Century Heights, which is generally located in the 1500 block of North Owen Road, and authorizing certain city officials to take certain actions upon the filing of a final plat. Presenting is Planning and Development Director Scott Goppy.
Mayor, Council, good evening. This preliminary plat is for the subdivision known as Century Heights. It is looking to create 27 single-family lots along with 12 duplex lots. There are 2 zoning districts involved, as you can see, and hopefully this works. Yes, all right. So this is the general area of it. It is north of the bowling alley, which is north of Tracker Road. You can see that there is a good portion of the surrounding property that is single-family that is located out in the county. But to the east would be undeveloped highway commercial property located in the city. This is the overall preliminary plat. I know it's kind of tricky to read with the green topo lines on there, but the main thing to take away from this is this. This is the sinkhole evaluation map. You can see that the primary road leading into the actual subdivision goes through 2 sinkholes. It is advised by our code to avoid sinkholes to the degree possible, but in this area it is very hard to do that. Most of our major roads do travel through sinkholes, and this would be kind of the similar case. A sinkhole evaluation was performed earlier this year, which produced these sinkholes and also evaluated them for stability. The main one is sinkhole A there at the entrance to where the subdivision would access Owen Road. It actually extends to the other side of Owen Road, so therefore Owen Road actually goes through this sinkhole as well, which according to the evaluation, it has not shown any signs of subsiding or anything over the long term that it's been there, which is usually a good indicator of future movement of it. The other issue concerning this property is there's a good majority of floodplain on this property. As you can see by the layout, they have adjusted the layout of the lots to kind of accommodate where that floodplain is. It kind of flares out there at the northeast corner. The other issue is the secondary access to this property. When it was originally proposed, the developer was looking to access the lift station road that comes off of Tracker Road and leads all the way to the lift station that is in the corner of this property. That is not viable for them at this time. If they were to access it, they would be responsible for improving it to make sure that it is accessible for emergency vehicles, and that would require a lot of work, and plus that road is very long. So they are in talks with the property owners in the southwest corner of this development, along with the wireless communication tower that is directly south of it. As you can kind of see towards the outside, the bottom of the screen, 904 West Dominion Court. That they apparently have an access easement across there, so they are in talks with those property owners to try to get an emergency access point into this subdivision to accommodate any emergency vehicles that may need to access this property if there was ever a situation at the main entrance. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Our tech spec manual does allow for development, utility development along with road infrastructure to go through sinkholes. Obviously, it has to be done in accordance with the tech spec manual, and that will be reviewed by a third-party geologist. That's a topic that I have coming up later. But again, it will all be third-party reviewed by experts if this preliminary plat were to be approved. This preliminary plat did go in front of P&Z Commission earlier this, oh wait, no, that was in June. Sorry. I forgot what month I was in. This is the second reading in July. Okay, so it went in July or June, and nobody approached the commission, so therefore the commission reviewed it and offered a recommendation of approval to City Council. There was a unanimous decision, 7-0. So staff does recommend approval, as this subdivision does conform to all applicable city codes related to single-family subdivisions as well as R4 duplex subdivisions. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Scott, I'm still concerned about the fact that there's not a secondary exit to this subdivision. I know that's one thing we've required with the new ones going in. They have to have two ways to get in and out. Are they really going to pursue actually putting another exit into there, an entrance into there, so people can get in and out in emergencies?
That is what they are actively pursuing right now. There is in the IFC, the International Fire Code, that if there is only one point of ingress egress to a public right-of-way, that all dwelling units within that subdivision have to be sprinklered, which is not common in this area, so it's probably not cost effective, so they will probably be pursuing that secondary emergency access only easement at the southwest corner. Again, it would only be for emergency access. It wouldn't be for the regular subdivision traffic to travel through.
That's fine. I'm just concerned there's another way in and out, because one road in, you get a lot of fire trucks and stuff in there. There's not a lot of room.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I share Ms. Graham's concern. And so what does the process look like if they're adding sprinklers is not cost effective? Because that would the cost of the homes, but so they're looking at the other access. I mean, looking into it, does that mean anything's actually going to happen, or is it just going to?
Based off my conversation with the property owner, they are in active conversations with it. Again, I can't speak too much on it. If it's not there at the time the construction plans are submitted, we would fully expect that the structures would be sprinklered at that point.
Okay, so there is a.
Contingency.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Godby.
All right, thank you.
We'll blame his mess up on Mr. Lyle's phone going off. I guess we need to add the silenced phones back to the beginning of the meeting, huh? All right, if there's no other questions, I will open up the public hearing on Council Bill 2024-19.
Ron Sanders, resident of Nixa. The contractor that's going to be building this, do they have to pay permit fees? They got to pay building permits and stuff?
Yes, sir.
And they probably have to pay the stormwater review and some of the other, I don't know what all is involved in that, but I mean, it would be like a stormwater, they probably got to pay for water meters and all that other stuff.
Yes, sir.
And that falls on the contractor, the business person that's developing all of this, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dave Bodine with Pinnacle Design Consultants. I'm here representing the owner who couldn't be here this evening. First, I want to say a big thank you to your staff. You've got one of the best around. Scott's been very helpful through the process, and We always greatly appreciate that. Unlike some of my preceding speakers, I do not need your vote in August. I need your vote this evening. And I do understand your concerns. I know you have a couple of concerns with this. Regarding the emergency access, I did speak with the owner tonight, and they are actively pursuing that access to the existing easement in the southwest corner. He has talked to the owner. It's a large corporation. It's hard to get to the right person. He has made it to the right person. They were receptive to the fact they're just asking for a sketch of what we're proposing. But I think that's leading in the right direction. Secondly, with regard to the sinkholes, in a perfect world, we wouldn't live on Swiss cheese, but that's what we've decided to do. Unfortunately, this property is landlocked, and that is the only point of access to the property currently. We have tried to mitigate that with the geometry or the location of the road, keeping it as far away from what we would consider the eye or the center of the sinkhole as possible, and pushing that out to the rim to where if there ever was an issue or a collapse, it's easily mitigated. Again, as Scott indicated, your current code does allow for this access through the sinkholes with some work with staff. And I'd just like to reiterate, currently Owen Road has gone through the exact same sinkhole area or depression that we're talking about. It's been there for probably 100 years. There hasn't been an issue. In addition to that, there are multiple other situations around town and in the county where roads have traversed the sinkholes for decades without an issue. Major roads like Highway 60, Highway 65 have sinkhole issues. Tracker Road has sinkhole issues, and I could go on, but I won't. We see this as the greater good, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to try to address them.
I got one. We're saying the southwest corner, correct?
Southeast.
Yes,
Why'd you say
Southeast.
Southeast.
Southeast,
Yeah.
Southeast, correct?
or southwest?
Yeah, this end.
that area right there where the cursor is hovering.
So
Southeast.
would you, if we're doing that, are you going down the property line of those two lots for that emergency?
Yes, and we coordinate with staff on what the requirements for emergency access is. If it's I'm assuming it would be required to meet the International Fire Code, which would be a 20-foot wide paved path. But there is an existing access easement to get back to that tower all along that south side.
Right.
So we would just need to get back and tie into that and then get permission to quote-unquote use that, because it's not a public easement, it's a private access easement.
Right, so those two lots will just have
Yeah,
that easement right between them?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, persons. Robert Staub, I live at 909 Strawberry Court. I live off of there. I think I talked last meeting about the sinkhole A when they kind of brought up that water moved across it, but water doesn't move across it. It goes, it sinks. My concern obviously is on the access. I'm a paramedic for Mercy, not in this area, of course, but emergency access is important to me. I understand sprinklers be nice, but it doesn't get you a paramedic when you need one. So the concern, of course, is that road. I also was thinking of, and I didn't get a chance to talk to the gentleman that owns a house directly across from that. I'm assuming water will run down the street across Owen Road and end up in his front yard. I know he's got a lot of water issues in his backyard, but I'm not sure he's aware that he'll have some water issues in his front yard possibly as well. My other concerns is, of course, Domino, which is where the C sinkhole is, which is relatively large. If you go look at it, you can see it. Running access across that might be difficult for another road, but if they can work that out, I don't have issues there. G's sinkhole, I know they have houses that are going to be sitting on that, as well as houses that'll be in the floodplain. If you look at, they made the road kind of go around the floodplain, but there's probably 4 or 5 residences that'll be right in the floodplain there, and I'm not sure those people will be aware of that, or should certainly be. And I'm not an expert on any of this, but assuming they'll do something to try to move the water off that area into a different area. But that might be another concern as well. I'm just letting you know my concerns as far as my community, which is going to be bordering this community. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. No one else would like to speak? I will close the public hearing on Council Bill 2024-19. And hopefully the stormwater mitigation that they do for this neighborhood might actually help out that neighbor over there and keep it more contained to that area. That would obviously be the goal. All right, anything else from council?
I'll just address one more thing that you mentioned about the floodplain issue as far as people buying those. That will have to be in the contract. So anytime somebody sells something, they have to report that. So someone, if they read their contracts and then read everything, no one will buy these properties without knowing they're in the floodplain, if that makes sense. That will have to be part of the listing.
That's in the floodplain, yeah.
All right. Nothing else from council? Anything from staff? I will accept a motion.
So made.
I'll second it.
First by Mr. Lucas, second by Ms. Graham. Roll call, please.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Johnny Graham,
Yes.
Zern Vest,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, moving on to the resolutions section. First up, Resolution 2024-41.
Resolution number 2024-41, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to solicit bids for on-call boring services. Presenting is Assistant Public Works Director Travis Cossey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a resolution seeking authorization to post bids for contractor services relating to boring and excavation work for the city of Nixa. This is not a new service that we have under contract. However, our existing contract that we have for our boring and excavation services is coming to an end. So we're hoping to repost that and get new services provided in a new contract to extend into the future. This has been a service that we added a couple years ago, and it has been a tremendous time saver for us, having someone that is on call to be able to contact to provide the boring and excavation services necessary, primarily related to utility service line services that we provide when it relates to broken water lines or electric service lines going underneath the road. Having that ability to quickly call somebody and get someone out into the field to provide that boring service has been tremendously helpful in our efficiency and ability to fix those problems as they occur. We currently have 2 companies under contract. Our hope is to again have 2 companies under contract if the bids come back that would allow us to support that option. So with your permission, we would like to solicit those bids. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Cossey.
I got one for you. How many people show interest in this in the past, as far as putting a bid in for it?
The last time that we put it out, I think we had 2 companies that did it. We had 2 companies. And both of them we put under contract, and it's been tremendously successful with both of them.
Anything? All right.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Cossey. All right, no other questions. I will open up the public hearing on Resolution 2024-41. If you would like to speak about boring services. I probably should have said that differently. Sorry.
No pun intended.
No offense to the companies that are going to bid on that. All right, if not, I will close the public hearing. Anything else from council? I will accept the motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
First by Mr. Vess, second by Ms. Graham. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on, Resolution 2024-42.
Resolution number 2024-42, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract in the amount of $77,610 with Instaform Technologies USA LLC for the installation of a multi-layer cured-in-place pipe system in the Bentwater subdivision, presenting as Water Superintendent Jason Stutzman.
Good evening. This is part of our I&I project that started back in 2013, where we're trying to reduce stormwater getting into the sewer system. This will be around the pond or the lake at Bentwater. We've been having a lot of I&I issues right in there because the infrastructure is getting old. That subdivision was put in back in the early 90s, and we're just going to line it, keep a lot of the water and getting in, keep us from treating a lot of the water down at the wastewater plant that doesn't need to be treated, and reduce electrical costs and stuff like that.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. All right. No other questions. I will open up the public hearing for Resolution 2024-42. And I will close the public hearing. Anything else from council? I will accept a motion.
So made. Second.
First by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Bess. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, next up, Resolution 2024-43.
Resolution number 2024-43, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract in the amount of $72,500 with Advanced Rehabilitation Technology LLC for manhole lining services in the Bentwater subdivision, presenting is Water Superintendent Jason Stutzman.
Second verse, same as the first, just instead of doing the lines, we have a different company that does the manholes because they specialize in the manholes. This is the company that just recently done our clarifier project down there at the wastewater treatment plant, and they do excellent work. So,
Any questions? Thank you, sir. All right, no other questions. I will open up the public hearing on Resolution 2024-43. Fair enough. I will close the public hearing. Nothing else from council. I will accept a motion.
Make the motion.
Second.
First by Mr. Ogden, a second by Ms. Graham. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries. All right. Next up, Resolution 2024-44.
Resolution number 2024-44, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract in the amount of $72,500 with the... Sorry. I'm reading the same one twice. Resolution number 2022-44, authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract in the amount of $392,442.50 with Donaldson Construction Company LLC for micropaving construction services. Presenting is Street Superintendent Jeff Russell.
That's much better. Thank you, Becca. Mayor, council, good evening. It's that time of year again where we start looking at our city streets and doing some of our paving and micropaving to preserve our city streets and to rebuild those streets. As in years past, we would like to utilize a contract through Greene County. They're the ones that have bid this with Donaldson Construction. Micropaving is one of those things that preserves the asphalt. It extends the life at a much cheaper rate than mill and overlays, and so in our opinion, it's a very good product. Something else that I'd like to mention is we will be using this, if approved this year, for skid resistance at an intersection on the south side of town of Ozark and Old Bittersweet. If you're familiar with this intersection, there's a guardrail at the bottom of the hill that takes a beating every year. This product will provide that skid resistance to hopefully prevent some of those accidents. So with that said, it is our recommendation to enter into this agreement for roadway preservation with Donaldson Construction.
Any questions? Where's your pen?
Thank you. I'm sorry?
Where's your pen?
Dang it.
Thank you. All right, no other questions. I will open up the public hearing for Resolution 2024-44. And I will close the public hearing. I will accept a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
First by Mr. Lucas, a second by Mr. Vess. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Resolution 2024-45.
Resolution number 2024-45, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to solicit qualifications for geological engineering services. Presenting is Planning and Development Director Scott Gabby.
I didn't give myself a long enough title there to walk all the way up here. Mayor, Council, this is basically we're going to get an RFQ out for a new professional geologist for the city of Nixa, or maybe potentially new. Our current geologist is Gradell Engineering Resources. They have been under contract for the past 4 years, 3-year contract plus their extension. So they are set to expire. So we are looking to go out for a new one. And in addition to that, we would like to get a second one under contract as well, just as a backup, because right now Gradell Engineering is participating in a lot more projects within the city limits of Nixa. So we've had to use other third parties to review their work. So this is an RFQ. We recommend approval.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Godby.
Thank you.
All right. No other questions. I will open up the public hearing on Resolution 2024-45. I will close the public hearing. No other questions. I will accept the motion.
I make the motion. Second.
First by Mr. Vess, second by Mr. Peterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And last, Resolution 2024-46.
Resolution number 2024-46, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa waiving a building permit fee in the amount of $22,924.25 for the Nixa Public School System's proposed multipurpose facility. Presenting is City Administrator Jimmy Laus.
Mayor, Council, before you tonight is a request from the Nixa School District that was made on June 20th to waive the building permit fees related to the new multi-purpose construction project. That's the project that's currently being started just to the south of Matthews or to the east of the high school, its current location. As I mentioned in my memo, the total amount of building permit fees as of June 20th was $29,000 or $29,032.47. Now, if you take those fees and you remove the third-party review, which is where we hire a third-party company to do some of the plan review, and then we get reimbursed for that cost, and then you also remove the water meters and the electric meters that would go into those fees as well, you're left with $22,924.25. So if council were to decide to do some type of waiver, my recommendation would be to be that amount, so at least the city is recouped for the fees that we have for the third-party review and also the meter fees that we have going in. I will say that, current ordinance that was passed back in 2021 does allow council it authorizes the city council to actually waive user fees for other governmental entities, and upon a showing by the governmental entity that the public is better served by the waiver. So also included in my memo is a Actually, I copied a memo from Dr. Kopp that he presented in support of that request to try to meet that requirements of that ordinance. So tonight before you is a request from the school district for a building permit fee waiver. Again, staff's here to answer any questions that you may have, but tonight we're asking council to make that consideration.
Mr. Lyles, on this, in regards to this, didn't you and Mayor Giddens try to work out a solution or resolution to trade some services or something for this? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. I did meet with Dr. Loden with the proposal, because the proposal that I put forth was an opportunity to trade out fees, because currently we pay other fees such as the gym rentals for our Parks Department. We currently rent that gym space from the school district, and we were recently notified that those gym fee rentals were going up about 150% actually. So it was going to raise our fees from about $4,000 to $5,000 a year up to probably around $11,000 to $12,000 a year. So that was a pretty significant increase for us to take at one time. But again, I do understand it's been a while since they've raised those fees. But with that increased fees, I looked at that as an opportunity, maybe that the city and the school district can work together and come together as a partnership to be able to basically, instead of us cutting a check to the school turning around and cutting us a check, we may be able to swap those kind of things out back and forth to make, and of course that would all be done by an agreement, MOU, whatever, so that we want to be very transparent with the public about what we're doing with taxpayer dollars. And then to make up the rest of that difference for that building permit fee, I suggested we utilize the cost of future easements that we're potentially going to need for our new Northwest Regional Lift Station, because we're going to have to build up a sewer line that would need to go through that not through that property, but through the high school Matthews area to be able to make that connection for that lift station, which would again benefit the whole community and future development in that area. So I proposed coming up with an agreement to trade those fees out again, instead of cutting a check back and forth, which seems kind of redundant to me, and it just made better sense to be able to do that. And I think both organizations would win in that situation, and it shows a great partnership between the city and the school, which is something that we definitely want. So, but unfortunately, that was turned down.
They chose to turn that down, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Lyles?
I'm not sure who that's the question for, but Miles may be able to help me, because what I'm concerned about, or what I'm trying to figure out is, and maybe I should know this, but I really don't know the Nixa School District. And first of all, I'll say that I'm very excited about what they're doing and what they're bringing to the students. But maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but it sounds like they're asking only part of the Nixa School District to pay. The only part that's paying is the part that's inside the city, which I was elected to take care of. And I know there's a lot that live outside, but I don't know what the percentage is. What does anybody happen to know? And it's not inside our realm of knowledge, but I'm just trying to, are we asking 70% of the Nixa population to pay for the other 30%, or how's that working? With, like you said, them just paying the.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know the percentage.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Mr. Vest. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I can research that and find out though.
Well, to be honest, I'm very concerned about us doing this for the school. Again, we did a waiver for them once to benefit them, didn't benefit us at all with school districts. We got no benefit from it. I think we're setting a pretty dangerous precedent by waiving fees for things, because other people could come in and say, well, this is for the kids too, because they make a point in what Dr. Kopp said. They're waiving the fee, recognizing it's a direct taxpayer savings to Nixa residents. City will again waive the fee for this project as it is a direct cost savings to the Nixa citizens represented by the council. This should have been built into their budget. They know these fees are coming up. It shouldn't be a surprise. And if they've got the money to do all the building things that they're doing, they should have factored all of this in as far as I'm concerned. And for them to ask us to give a waiver again and not give us anything back in return for it is something that I'm really not too happy about.
And we did just to clarify one point on there, that we looked back, honestly, a ways back on waiving fees. I actually had just gotten on to council when that happened, and that was during COVID, and they had budgeted a certain amount, and all the estimates, which we've dealt with this too, with kind of all the things that have gone up in cost. And at the time, we waived some fees And as a one-time, it's actually what it was called, was a one-time fee waiver because of the cost of everything going up. And that was going to cause some serious issues of what they were going to be able to build, and it wasn't going to fit in with their budget. So it was a one-time fee waiver. It hasn't been, I think it's been over 10 years. I think before that, there was some one-off projects where they did that. And honestly, this is kind of leading into, we might want to hold off for a second because this is kind of leading into council discussion, which needs to take place after the public hearing. But just clarifying that, that was the reason that we wanted to move forward with an agreement. That way, it's not a one-off deal, and it's really doing the best for the community and benefiting both the school and the city. So we can get more into regular council discussions here in a second, but are there any other questions for Mr. Lyles? Okay. If none, I will go ahead and open up the public hearing for Resolution 2024-46.
I was told I could go first. So this is like a one-way thing. They're getting all the benefit at the cost of the city, basically. And like we talked about at one of these other resolutions, or at an ordinance earlier, the builders pay these fees, right? So the school is paying the builder to build a building, and then the builder is supposed to pay all of the fees incorporated with building that building. But in this case, the builder throws it back to the school and says, hey, can you get me a break on all of these fees or something like that? I don't know if I'm reading this right, but that's what it sounds like to me. And then the school comes back and, you know, you and them have a deal and everything. But then they try to make you guys out to be the bad guy if you say no on this right here. It doesn't fit with all of the school board members that I know, and I know them all, and I've watched them all. Has the school board actually voted on this to send this over to us, or is this something that hasn't come in front of the school board yet? Because to me, this is something that the school board should have deliberated on. The school board should have discussed and put in front of everybody there, and then voted on it there, whether to send it over to us or not. And they should have also had the chance to consider the deal that Mr. Lyles made, you know, the deal that was proposed, where both public entities would benefit from. So if that hasn't happened yet, then maybe it would be wise to give the school district and the school board the benefit of the doubt of overseeing this whole situation and maybe deliberating it on their side before we have to look like the bad guys if y'all decide to say no. Because it sounds like, I mean, it seems like they're trying to twist your arm with that wording, you know. Oh, it's to the public benefit for you to do that. Well, where's the public benefit to charge us, what, $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 a year to use their gyms? Are they even providing staff to let you in and out of the gyms and clean them up, or do we do all the cleanup and everything ourselves? You know, so what's that $11,000 for? It's an empty building. Somebody's just got to unlock the door, make sure it's clean when you leave and everything. $11,000, really? And that's something that can't be bartered in a memorandum of use or something like that? It just sounds to me like this is misguided, and maybe the elected officials need a chance to deliberate and, you know, maybe make an official voted decision where we, the taxpayers, can see that decision being made by the elected officials and then sent over here. Because right now, did the school board send it over? Did they vote on this? Can we hold them accountable for, you know, for asking for this? I don't think we could ever do that. We can't go in front of the school board, the elected officials, and say, why did you do this to us? You know, why did you do this to my city? The school board has, the school has like a almost $70 million budget. I think ours is what, right around 20 or something like that? Or 30?
A little higher.
You know, maybe a little bit higher. It's about half of what they have to deal with. They're dealing with 6,000 students. We're dealing with 26, 27,000, residents on half the amount of money. So I don't get it. Maybe they need to take a second look. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. I will leave the public hearing up.
Hello, Council, Mayor. My name is Nicholas Curtis. I live at 384 North Niagara Drive here in Nixa. So I honestly just found out about this just the other day. I knew something was in the works, but I didn't know this was on here. So my biggest concern is money. Everybody has to pay a fee when they do a building permit. We just talked about for the newest subdivision that's going in, they had to pay their fee. When I moved here almost 6 years ago and I put a fence in my yard, I came to the city, I applied for a permit, I had to give drawings of how my fence was going to be built because I am cheap and I do all the work myself instead of paying for someone to do it. But I spent my money to get my permit. And so me as a private citizen, if I have to pay for a permit, everybody should have to pay for a permit, no matter how big of a corporation you are. I'm pretty sure when Oak Star put in their bank, did they apply for a permit and pay for it? Are they bringing jobs and money, tax dollars to the city? Yes. When Scooters put in their building, did they apply for a permit, a building permit? Yes, they did. Everyone should have to pay their fair share for that. When reading the little memo, what really, all my time in the military, each time I went to a new base or a new squadron and I saw something wrong, I was part of quality assurance, I was part of our safety program. I would come in and review programs and everything, and I would always get, well, that's the way we've always done it. Well, and we know that in any business we've ever been to, that's always been said, that's how we always done it. Doesn't mean it's right, but that's the way we've done it. And to read this in here, where it says that in the past the city has waived fee recognizing this waiver in a direct taxpayer savings. Just because we've always done it does not mean it's always right. And I know we talked about as a one-off thing, and I know during COVID, when it said in 2021, that was COVID, I'm pretty sure the city got a lot of grant money from federal that would help subsidize these type of projects because prices did go up, but we're not in that anymore. I spend a lot of money in this community, and my tax dollars goes to the school. I pay taxes, personal property taxes, normal taxes on my home. As much money as what I paid on my house, I should have one of those seat backs at the football stadium. That should be given to me for free, honestly, as much as what I paid. But those are $1,000 a seat for those seats. The school generates enough money as it is from, you go to a football game on Friday nights, it's standing room only. Everybody, I mean, I paid a $50 fee every year for admissions to the games. Visitors, you go to the visitors section, there's at least 300 people, $4 a pop for a ticket. You start doing the math, times 5 home games, and then volleyball and basketball. Where does that money go? They have the money. And it says right there, this project is approved by, funded by, and actively supported. I could care less if it's actively supported, but it's already been funded. You guys already have the money. So to beg for money is null and void. So I know we just went over, we needed $73,000 for manholes, X amount of money for this and that. That comes all out of the city's budget, correct? That's preventative maintenance, correct? So if we don't spend the money properly on those items, then that $73,000 turns into $1.5 million down the road when it wasn't done 10 years prior. So whenever, $20,000, it's $20,000 could be used to mitigate an issue that we're finding now before it turns into a hazard that would cost $1.5 million. So I think we should be spending our money wisely and not bailing out the school for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. All right. If anyone else would like to speak to this, do so at this time. If not, I will go ahead and close the public hearing.
tax dollars was brought up a couple different times in that conversation from the visitors, and also in the memo here saying it says the citizens' taxpayers' money. One thing I want to be clear about is that the school bond is paid for by our tax dollars from our personal property tax, and the city government is ran off of sales tax dollars. Totally different when we talk about taxes. If you look at what we get from, what the city gets from our personal property taxes, it's only 5%. So every $100 that you pay in personal property tax, the city gets $5. Is that correct, Ms.?
Of only real estate.
Of only real
Yeah,
estate.
not personal.
Sorry, only real estate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
And then of that $100, I believe it's 73% or 75%? Somewhere in there? 72?
believe. Yeah.
Somewhere in there is what the school board, school bond issues, school board all goes from our real estate tax. So look at that in consideration there.
Well, it's interesting, too, if you look at that paragraph that says the fee waiver has already been paid. They just want us to reimburse them for what they've already paid.
Yes, and Ms. Graham, just to clarify that, they went ahead and paid that up front so they can continue construction, because if they weren't
Yes,
doing
but they had the money to
construction,
do it. Now
there
they
could
just
be
want us
some
to
some
reimburse them for
penalties.
something
Yeah.
they already paid for.
I just wanted to clarify that's the reason it was paid.
Yeah.
I also want to point out in the newsletter, they made a comment that they budgeted $20 million for this project, and they're currently bids at 16.8, I believe is what it said. So they're roughly, 3.2 below budget. So once again, I don't think it's a dollar amount that they're looking for, or that they're needing, that us to waive the $22,000, $23,000. The money's clearly there. We have to worry about taking care of the city and the people within the city. Also, we have tried to have a partnership, had a great offer to help both parties, which hopefully they can reconsider that and we can move forward, hopefully work together.
Anything else from council?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, like you said, I understand that the fee waiver that we did previously was intended to be a one-time event waiver. So, and, just to be, I guess, fair, I would say, to everyone that, asking them to pay the fee is not an egregious ask.
I was going to point out, I appreciate the breaking down of what we call the hard costs. These are things that we're paying other people, which is a significant amount, a little over $6,000. But there's some soft fees that we haven't really discussed. We're still doing building inspections and holding code. And so we've spent money, or we will spend money during the still again. So again, we're talking about taking Nixa's citizens' tax dollars and giving it away, or not adding value to it. And I know that our planning development part has worked very difficult, to make sure this stuff happens and to keep us up to, and our children are going there. We know that we want the inspectors to be there and to be fully involved like they normally will, and they will be however this lands. But there's value there that I just want to make sure people see, that it's not just a dollar figure. They're not just paying this to us for the budget. We do spend stuff out of that budget to research code, make sure stuff codes that way, and follow that up.
Thank you. Anything else from council?
And it's not attached to this?
No, still.
Okay.
Yeah, still on this one. Anything else from staff? All right. Go ahead.
Do you want to go ahead? So I was going to make a motion for us to make the vote on how we want to decide on that. If there's no other discussion.
I will go ahead and accept the motion.
I'll second.
Got a first by Mr. Lucas, a second by Mr. Peterson. All in favor? Those opposed?
Nay.
Yes.
Negative?
Yes. Nay.
Opposed? Opposed?
All right.
Is that?
0 yeses. All right. Motion fails. Okay, we have a couple things to discuss, but the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to thank the electric department, wastewater, water, recycling, and streets. They really stepped up after the storm, and the timing obviously was not great with city offices being closed on Thursday and Friday. But guys came in, went to work, got the recycling center back open, and that's just, you know, we have the best employees by far, and I can't thank them enough for all their work. And also want to thank the city of Carthage. They came and helped out. I believe once our guys had about 16 hours straight of work and came and helped for a little bit and let them get some rest. You know, that's another thing that, you know, want to thank, honestly, you know, Mr. Colvin and Mr. Cossey for working on those relationships with people like the city of Carthage that were, because they were on vacation too. And they were able to get some guys available and come down and help us out. And that's just, it's huge, and it's awesome to be in a position where we help other people and we have people that want to come help us, especially in a situation like that when there's trees down and power out, and none of that stuff's ever fun. And thanks for keeping everybody, you know, in the loop. It's hard to do when you're, especially when we're down a position for public information, but stopping the work to provide the updates and answer text messages from your annoying neighbor, or not neighbor, mayor, wondering what in the world's going on and when power's going to be on. I appreciate that. And so it just, you know, we definitely have the best crew, and I love that everyone has just grown accustomed to getting the best service possible. So thank you guys a lot. And to kind of help you out, I know that this is kind of makes some people pretty happy. The first discussion item that we have, and the only discussion item that we have actually, is moving the council meetings. I have never been a fan of having council meetings on Mondays. It makes my Monday about the longest Monday ever, and then kind of makes Tuesday feel like Monday. And so I had looked at some things and talked to some other people and kind of figured out what would be good. And I know the 7 o'clock is also kind of a pain because people that have to be at these meetings that live further outside the area, they have to waste a lot of time between the time they get off work until the time the council meeting starts. And then once they're done, they have a decent drive home, and they're not getting home until extremely late, and then have to turn around and come back here in the morning. So kind of came to the conclusion that one of the days that would work the best, because we're often having to move council meetings because of holidays, and typically they fall on Mondays, would be Tuesdays. Move them to Tuesdays and move it an hour earlier to 6 o'clock. Like that would help a lot of people. I do know that there are, you know, a few conflicts around the county with meetings on Tuesday. But I also know that once you get further in the week, it makes it even more difficult, especially if certain departments are waiting on approval from the council to be able to apply for things or move forward on getting bids or even just starting a project. So earlier in the week is better for them. This will also allow everyone a chance to not miss Monday Night Football, which is very important to a lot of us. And so I think that's kind of a big thing to look at. But really, I mean, obviously open for discussion. If anyone has anything against that, or everyone's all for it.
Yeah, Mayor, I can tell you as far as staff, we're very for that. We love the 6 o'clock. We've talked about it at leadership meeting multiple times. 6 o'clock actually works better, like you said, for our staff that have to travel back and forth to home and stuff. So, and again, we've had no objections to Tuesday night either. So we're in support of it.
This will still be on the second and fourth Tuesdays then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, clarify, this is both meetings?
Yes. and it will stay second and fourth. We looked into it, and really, I believe the charter only requires us to have one meeting a month, which that would be very, very long meetings if we only did one a month, and we'd have to start those at like 2. But I still feel like this would work out the best. And I mean, if everyone is on board with that, we can actually make either the next meeting be our last meeting in July, or we can wait and do it for our first meeting in August, which I believe would be the 13th. And so the July one's what, the 23rd would be that Tuesday? I'm throwing stuff out there, and I don't even.
Moving it up an hour, but I'm not sure.
Next meeting's the 22nd. You moved it.
Be the 23rd.
And Mayor, we can visit in the morning at our leadership meeting about that. We've talked about August, but if the council would like to move that up to July, we can definitely visit about that and make sure staff can make that change, and we can definitely let you know. And whichever direction council and the mayor decide to go, we'll make sure that we publicize that very heavily with the public so that they know about that change.
I mean, I'm good with either.
I'd be
one.
okay with waiting till August if it allows staff more time to acclimate.
Well, and the council to accommodate.
Be fair to let Kelly know about it before we.
I would.
I know unless you've already been in conversations with her.
She should be watching. So Kelly, we're going to move the meetings to Tuesdays at 6. It's done.
Done.
We need
Okay.
to give people a chance to not be surprised by all of a sudden, we're not here on a Monday, and then Tuesday
Yeah.
gives us that much
Yeah.
time to.
Yeah, we can plan accordingly, announce it plenty, and announce it at the next meeting. And do it that way would be fine. And then another thing that I would really like to start doing, because the liaison reports, and I know I've harped on this thing for a while, especially at the workshop and everything. A lot of times they're telling us stuff that we already know. And I think one thing that would be a good change going forward and wouldn't require everyone to specifically do a liaison report, once a year. That could really, it would kind of open up what's going on in a department to the entire community a little bit more. A lot of you do a really good job of meeting with your departments that you're the liaison for. And, I know that, Zern, he comes in every Monday that we have a council meeting, and he walks around the building and talks to everyone and asks if there's anything that they want said at the meeting. What kind of updates, what's going on? And you take,
Not everyone just might be.
yeah.
I don't bother HR or finance because they talk to other people.
I try to stay out of there. I stay far from HR. But, even, when you look at, with the police department, where they're at on their projects and where they're at on the restructure, that'll be stuff that'll be great for the community to know. Get into public works and where we're at on the infrastructure upgrade and mosquito spraying and, where are we at on water? If it starts to get extremely dry and we need to start talking about conserving and things like that. Just things that would be great for the community to know that you guys, and it also keeps you engaged with your prospective departments, and kind of creates that line of communication where also maybe something going on that the rest of the council doesn't know about, and you can help the rest of the council understand, especially if there's something that's coming up that's going to be for vote. So I would like to start doing that, and also, treat that like everything else when it comes to me, with, citizen complaints, issues, whatever they may be. If you need help at any point, or if you're going to be missing a meeting and you know it, you're going to be on vacation, not going to have time, let me know. I'll work with your department and get the information and make sure that it's said in the meeting. I I just really want the liaisons to, really be the champion for their departments. Mainly for multiple reasons, but really it just really helps you understand what's going on in those departments and the day-to-day and everything that's, that they're dealing with, and might help a lot in the future, especially when we get into budget time and understanding why they're asking for certain things, if they need certain people or machine or whatever it may be, vehicles. It'll help that a lot. So I would like to see that going forward, and I would greatly appreciate it. Believe that is all I have right now, unless I think of something else. Anything else from council?
Well, in lines of that, I guess I can go ahead and jump in and kind of give a little bit of an update.
Hey.
I know we had a compliance officer that left, and Brendan has been filling in for that position and done a very good job, along with keeping up with what he's doing. The other night at the planning and zoning, the Commissioner Chair, Lauren, was absent, and Mr. Popejoy filled in for him and did a great job handling that meeting. So things are moving along nice. Scott's been doing updates. One of the things that planning and zoning was like, hey, we don't ever hear about what happens once it leaves us. So Scott's been doing regular updates with them, keeping them abreast of what's happening within, once something passes their level and comes to council, whether council approves it or denies it, or what the stages of the project's in is at, so.
Well, and that actually made me think of something, so thank you. One thing that, when I met with the school board president and vice president, I kind of want to figure out how we can do this, because technically there would be 3 quorums there. Helping the relationship between the school board, the city council, and the planning and zoning commission. Because the meetings that we had for the comprehensive plan, where we got to work together with the planning and zoning commission, I really enjoyed that. And when I was on the planning and zoning commission, I don't think I ever got to work with the council. You guys voted me down anyway, so I won't let you live that down. But just, creating those relationships, and especially where, there's a better working relationship, so someone on that board or whatever that you can reach out to and ask questions and stuff. I think that's something that we're definitely lacking in, and maybe that has shown recently, but I think it's something that'd be easy to fix. I just need to know the legality of getting that many elected officials together. So as long as we announce it, I would assume
Yeah, posting
we'd
would
be
be
fine.
easy. We would just post like we would if we were doing the alliance meetings. There would be a quorum of council present, but no actions would be taken. Same would go with the P&Z commission. We could fall under the same posting. School board would have to post their own requirements, but for us,
Okay.
it'd be very easy.
Perfect. Well, let's definitely get to working on that. And that just actually made me think of something else. If I don't say it right now, I'm going to forget it. And because I said something about it at the last meeting, one of my biggest concerns that goes back to the Council Bill 2024-19 of Century Heights is still the issue with our police officers having to leave the city, get into county, back in the city, county, city, to go respond to a call. It definitely puts them in a bad position. So that's something that remind me, and because I'd like to, maybe it's us set up a meeting with the sheriff, work together on something to make sure that, everyone is good no matter where they go, especially if they have to not even really make a turn to leave the city, just driving down a straight road. That's a huge concern of mine. So, yeah.
Will the
Thank you.
new radio systems help with that, though? I know that there's supposed to be some new radio systems coming.
It still doesn't take, in my opinion, I'll let you talk, but if it's an emergency and you're headed to there, you're still going to have to go out of the city into the county and.
But with the new radio system,
Yeah.
since they can speak to both departments, it would help with that, I think. Because currently our system doesn't speak to all the departments.
Yeah, the radio system, the upgrades will help with communications as our city grows out into the farther reaches of the county. As we expand, we're going to start finding those locations where, oh wait, we didn't realize the radio. We've never been down here before, and now we're working in an area potentially that we had no idea that there might be radio issues. So the Motion radio system will certainly help with those types of issues. But as far as us, responding through the county to get to the city, we do that quite a bit now because we don't have a very squared up city limit, so to speak. And so that's been something that we've dealt with for as long as I've been a police officer, is 20 plus years. You do potentially run into those scenarios where responding to a call and you're in the county and you see something, and there are some statutory, laws that allow us to do certain things, but certainly mutual aid agreements in place are very important to have so that everybody has a clear understanding of what they can and can't do and when assistance should be requested or if it's an emergency, for example. So, Mayor, I agree with you. I think it's important to have a robust MOU with our county and make sure that we're all on the same page as we move forward, as we start traveling through the county to get to some of our areas that we have jurisdiction in as far as city limits.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Okay. I talked to a lady today. She lives on Livingston Street, and she's very concerned about, I was going to talk to Joe about this, about traffic, because she says I'm so sorry, I turned this off.
Okay, we're going to bring back the
I did.
cell phones.
Turn the audio down, not that. Anyway, she's concerned because, again, like 7 through 9 in the morning, 3 to 5 in the afternoon, she says like a racetrack. She says she counted 50 cars within 28 minutes that go through there. So she was concerned about maybe the police being able to monitor that a little bit better. And she's also concerned about the fact that there's not a crosswalk across Truman for kids that go to SB. She said her kids are out of that now, but she'd like to see a crosswalk somewhere on, that between Livingston and Bailey, somewhere on there where they could actually cross Truman without having to worry about people running over them too much.
So I know that before that road was there, a lot of the streets over in that subdivision were terminating, or they
Yes.
were cul-de-sac type streets. So you enjoy a certain level of, I don't know, seclusion, I guess would be the word. And then whenever you start connecting streets, certainly, traffic. And once people figure out that they can get through an area, then you're going to see a lot more traffic, quite frankly.
Well, that's what
we'll
she
be
said.
happy to go over there, and we'll be monitoring. So I'll make sure that the patrol staff gets that memo. I'll get it out, and we'll be watching that area so we can do some extra presence. And we got some other tools and techniques we can use to, if it's a speeding
And that's
issue.
one of the streets that was like that. She said it used to be very quiet. The kids could play out in the street, and now they have to really watch things. But she was concerned more about when school's starting, about the traffic on those streets doing stuff. So, but I told her I'd mention it and see if we could get a crosswalk especially.
Can you put that in an email and send it to myself, the chief, and Mr. Colvin? Because we could possibly also get one of the radar deals out there
Yeah.
and take a look at that, and then we can also look at the crosswalk
Yeah, I
area.
was just talking to Mr. Colvin about that. We'll take a look at that crosswalk possibility, because there is a lot of kids that catch the bus. I noticed in the mornings actually catch the bus on the opposite side
Yep.
of where they live. So I think it's something that we'll at least evaluate, and we'll have Jeff and his crew take a look at it as well. And
I also
we'll take a
think
look at it.
whenever you have a sidewalk on one side of the road and a trail, a designated trail on the other, I would say a lot of those intersections, it would probably be beneficial for a crosswalk, because there's still
Yeah.
a good amount of people that don't realize that you are supposed to stop at crosswalks.
At a crosswalk.
I almost got rear-ended yesterday for doing just that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll
Okay.
look
That's
into
another
that.
thing. That she had called me or texted me, and I told her I'd ask about it tonight. So.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, anything else from council? Anything else from staff?
Just a couple of quick shout outs to the chamber. The fireworks show, I think, was a good success. That the city did partner on that or help sponsor as a sponsorship of that. So great show. We had to go off a little early because of the storms, but everybody kind of pivoted and got that done. So shout out to the chamber for all their work on that event. And then just a reminder, tomorrow's chamber lunch, if you'd like to attend.
Oh, yeah.
And also, we're not having to ask for an update from Matt. Getting a lot of really good feedback about everything with the pool and the park this year. I'm very interested to hear the numbers with the pool and the park being open, what that looks like, because it's always packed over there. So, thank you.
There's been some good PR in the newspaper about it too, so that helps.
There's nothing else from staff. Just think, it would be 7:36 right now when we're getting done. So.
We hadn't started because it'll be tomorrow.
True, true. All right, nothing else. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.